Hello guys and welcome to today's video, and in this video we're going to be going over two updated forecasts here, one from Colorado State University and the other from NOAA. Right now we are taking a look at Colorado State University's updated final full update forecast for 2022 Atlantic hurricane season. And you can see here we're going to go over their numbers from April 7th. We're going to look through all this. April 7th, they had 19 named storms, 9 hurricanes, 4 major hurricanes, and 160 A's. Their June 2nd update, they had 20 named storms, 10 hurricanes, and 5 major hurricanes. Pretty much the same here for, July 7th. But then we get to today's forecast, and they dropped the named storms by 2, but that also includes Alex, Bunny, and Colin as well. So they expect 15 more named storms for the season. They also say that they are going to be given 8 hurricanes and 4 major hurricanes. So this is still, if the Colorado State University's forecast pans out, it's still going to be a pretty active season going forward. You don't need a hyperactive season like they were forecasting to be, busy. All it takes is one in one particular area to be a pretty bad season. That's just the way it is. So here's the observation thus far through August 3rd. We've had 3 named storms, 3.25 named storm days. And everything here is 0 from hurricane days, major, and major hurricane days. Accumulated cyclone energy is 3, and net tropical cyclone activity is 6. The remainder of the season, we're looking at 15 more named storms, 81.75 more additional named storm days, 8 hurricanes, 30 hurricane days, 4 majors, 8 major days. We still got 147 more ACE to accumulate and 154 net tropical cyclone activity to net up. All right. So here is the possibility of, at least one major Category 3 or 4 hurricane landfall on each of the areas here that they highlighted. The entire continental U.S. East Coast has a 68% chance of a landfall of at least one major hurricane. Full season average for last century is 52%. U.S. East Coast, including the peninsula of Florida, is 43%. Full seasonal average for that is 31% for the century. Gulf Coast from the Florida Panhandle westward to Brownsville is 43%. Full season average for the century is 30%. So these are still pretty high chances. It could still happen this way as we head out through the season. The possibilities of at least one major hurricane tracking into the Caribbean is a 57% chance, and usually that average is about 42%. So, they still say we got a long ways to go, so we're going to have to see how it pans out. We had seasons like 1950 and, 2010, that didn't get really started until about late August. So we'll see how things turn around as we head towards the climatology peak of the hurricane season. All right, so now here is the NOAA, update for the hurricane season. They didn't change much at all. They lowered the above normal activity from 65% to 60%. So, and not much has changed. They only dropped 1 named storm. They're still predicting 14 to 20 named storms, 6 to 10 hurricanes, and they dropped a major hurricane as well from 3 to 5. I think it was 4 to 6. So they're still calling for an above average season here. So, let's not get our guards down here as we head later into the climatology of the hurricane season. All right, so now what we're going to change gears here. We're going to talk about NVEST 99E, which is in the Eastern Pacific. Now, this is probably what the plan is going to be from now on, since probably we're not going to see anything in the tropics in the Atlantic for another 2 weeks, probably longer, probably 3 weeks. We don't know yet. We are going to be tracking stuff in the Eastern Pacific for you fine folks here. So this is NVEST 99E. This is a 18Z, and it was located at 10.5 north, 95 zero west, and maximum winds are at 30 knots or 35 miles per hour. Minimal sensor pressure is at 1,007 millibars. All right, so as you can see, this is pretty much, you can tell that it's a monsoon mess here, but conditions are favorable enough that in the next 24 to 48 hours, we could see a tropical depression form in this neck of the woods. As you can see, right where you have most of the convection here, this is where the X is from the National Hurricane Center. And this is probably what's going to consolidate into our tropical system as we head forward. But you can see that there's two spins. There's most likely two spins in here, but this eastern envelope is probably going to win out over the western one. So with that being said, let's take a look at the GEFS track and minimal MSLP. And the GEFS really likes this system. You can see by the brighter colors here that some of them get to, around 980 to 970, maybe even 970 to 960. So, the GEFS wants to have this have a chance of becoming a major hurricane. We're just going to have to see how the environmental, situation turns out. But there could be one factor in play here. It is going to be really close to land. And what that might induce is some continental dry air that may push into the system as it rotates around close to land. And we've seen that with a few storms already this year, So that could be one of the inhibitors to the system. We're just going to have to see how the relative humidity is when we get to that point. All right, so here is the 12Z GFS here. And this was initialized at 12Z. And as you can see, 24 hours from now, bam, it already wants to form a system. So we're going to take a look at the soundings here. And we are looking at 9 knots of shear and 80% relative humidity, which is pretty good for this setup here. 48 hours, we're down to, I think, a 993. So we're getting pretty decently far into the tropical storm range here. And then we really start to blow up here. 72 hours, we're at 973 millibars here. 9 knots of shear and 83% relative humidity. So it's pretty good. And then we peak probably at 966 millibars before, it moves on to near to Baja California. And as you can see, GFS is really going ham with more systems in the Eastern Pacific and the Central Pacific. The GFS thinks that it is El Nino here in the Eastern Pacific, even though the waters are La Nina-like and spreading eastward. Right now, the GFS thinks it's an El Nino in the Eastern Pacific because we got another system here, 986 millibars. We got another system here coming up towards the 140 west line. I mean, it looks like a developing system. And then we got this 1,005 millibar system here. But right now, we're more focused here on 999E, which at this point in time is a 970 millibar Category 2 hurricane. So we might be racking up some more ace points here before it's all said and done for the Eastern Pacific. All right, so here is the European, or the ECMWF, and this was initialized as 12Z. And as you can see, it's not as bullish as the GFS. The European is not known for being bullish. It's more of a model that is known for being bearish. So right now we're looking at 13 knots of shear and 72% relative humidity. So it's not as good as the GFS is in that front. 104 millibars at 48 hours. 8 knots of shear, and the relative humidity is so about 68%. 72 hours, it's still not really doing too much here. I think what Euro needs normally is for it to be an established tropical cyclone before it really has a good handle on it. That's what I've noticed over the last how many years is that if it's not an established tropical cyclone, it's probably going to be bearish. And that's probably what we're seeing here with 99E. It was going pretty bearish with it not long ago. A couple of days ago, it was going up to 970s and 960s, and now it's not even hardly getting out of the 1000s yet. So here at 72 hours, we're looking at 7 knots shear and 68% relative humidity. Now we go to 96 hours. Yeah, now we're at 1,000 millibars, if I could talk. We're looking at a little better conditions here. About 8 knots of shear and 73% relative humidity. And now it finally gets under 1,000 here at 997. 996 this is where we're going to stop here. 996 millibars. That's pretty decent for European. Looking at 15 knots of shear and 56% relative humidity. The shear it's good enough. It's good enough, but this relative humidity is almost a no-go pretty much. But yet here it is. We're still at 996 millibars. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you like more content like this, subscribe because there's going to be a lot more. I'm probably going to do an East Pack video every day while there's something going on there to pass the time until the Atlantic wakes up. And then I'll be focusing more on both basins. Anyways, until tomorrow, peace out. Have a nice day.